Since 1998, over 333 people have died in police custody, and at least 13 people have died as a result of direct contact with the police. Not one officer has ever been successfully prosecuted. The police have said that these instances are few and far between, but a December 2010 report by the Independent Police Complaints Commission suggested that when things do go wrong, juries are unwilling to convict police officers. Recent high-profile deaths in the UK have brought into question the police's use of deadly force. The use of the controversial hard stop tactic, in which officers are trained to stop somebody by shooting them in the head or the chest, has recently led to the fatal shootings of Azelle Rodney, who was killed unlawfully in 2005, Mark Duggan, whose death was the catalyst for widespread riots across the UK in the summer of 2011, and who was earlier this year found to have been lawfully killed. And most recently, Anthony Grainger, shot dead in 2012 by Greater Manchester Police. Anthony's family say he was killed unlawfully and are now seeking justice.
At 8 o'clock in the morning, one of his friends come knocking on my door and said that they need to come in and that Anthony was shot. But I thought it was a lie. And I just cried and collapsed on the floor. And it took me ages to believe it.
When I found out it was the police that shot and killed him, I was horrified.
Anthony Grainger, father of two from Salford, was shot dead as he sat in this car park in Culcheth. Despite being unarmed, Anthony was killed during a pre-planned operation. He was shot through the heart and lungs at near point-blank range.
3 cars had pulled onto the car park. The police officer was hanging out the car with his machine gun. He banged straight through the windscreen, hit Anthony in his lung, his left lung, through his heart and lodged into his second lung, which killed him instantly. Then they shot the tyres out and then they gassed the car. They knew, for all the observations they were doing for 2 to 3 months, that they'd never seen him with any weapons. So they knew he was unarmed.
In his statement, the officer who fired the fatal shot described the events leading up to Anthony's death.
I activated the electric window so it came fully down. When the vehicle stopped, I levelled my MP5 towards the front windscreen of the suspect's vehicle. I shouted to the occupants, "Armed police, show me your hands."
He said, "Show me your hands." Bearing in mind this is a car park, 7 o'clock, it's pitch black dark, 16 armed officers, all dressed in black, with hats on, gas masks, balaclava. They pull up in the cars and shout, "Show me your hands," from inside one car to the inside of another car, and then they say he didn't follow commands. They thought that he must have been reaching for a gun, but then, so he said he lit the gun and he shot him, and simple as.
Immediately after the shooting, the 2 men in the car with Anthony were arrested, charged with conspiracy to commit an armed robbery, and taken to secure prison.
After Anthony got shot dead, there was two people, his friends, who witnessed the police murder him. They got category aid off in a prison, which was secure prison, so nobody could get to them. And then they indicted them into a trial, but they also indicted our Anthony into a trial, which was, I've never heard of in my life, indicting a dead man who can't represent himself into a trial. I do think it was orchestrated to get a guilty conviction on Anthony and his 3 friends to justify why they shot him dead.
After being killed, Anthony was indicted into a trial along with 3 other men and charged with conspiracy to commit an armed robbery. It was found that Anthony was unarmed and didn't have access to guns. Both Anthony and the other 3 men were cleared of all charges within 45 minutes.
He went to court, the jury found him not guilty on all counts, which, by way of turnaround, proves that Anthony was innocent, which proves that the police officer is guilty.
The police didn't inform Gail of Anthony's death, but they turned up at her home with a search warrant.
And I had about 9 police officers coming through my house, put me and my kids and my mum at the time into my front room. One of them stood guard on my front room.
So the first contact you had with the police after Anthony had died was them raiding your house?
Yeah. No consideration, no sorry, no nothing. Just, we've got a warrant to search your house. And then they were arsey with me, there were no compassion, no nothing, just...
July 2011. 8 months before Anthony was killed, Greater Manchester Police lost a memory stick containing the names of over 1,000 police informants.
The police officer from Greater Manchester Police had took an unencrypted memory stick home in Groton in Oldham. Apparently he'd left it in the kitchen on the worktop with his car keys and his wallet, and a sneak thief had come, sneaked into the kitchen, took the car keys, wallet and the memory stick.
2 months later, Anthony was arrested, held for 4 days for questioning, and then released on bail. In January 2012, Anthony was told that no further action would be taken. It was around this time when the police launched Operation Shire, a surveillance operation against Anthony and 3 others which involved around 100 police officers and ultimately resulted in Anthony's death.
The first thing the media do is collude with the police. They demonise and character assassinate the person they've murdered, which has been put into the public domain. And what that does is get the public on their side to think, well, you know, if he was an armed robber or a drug dealer, he deserved it. He lived by the sword, he died by the sword.
They have no dignity, they just, as long as they get readers and they want to sell papers and they want to make money, they don't care about Mike Duggan, they don't care about Isabel Wagner, they don't care about the families or the victims that have to pick the papers up in the morning and read lies about people that they love. They don't care. They're journalists.
The family's been devastated. That bullet has carried on right through the family. It's broke the family in two, to be honest.
It's affected all of us quite badly. My little lad still has nightmares. My little girl started with, if she's playing at school and she lied under a table and showed her a picture of her, what she says is Anthony Daddy in the sky. And she says, I don't want anybody else to be taken from me.
Earlier this year, the Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police, Sir Peter Farhay, was charged with breaching the Health and Safety Act. The CPS found sufficient evidence that GMP failed to ensure that unnecessary risks to the suspect was avoided, and suggested that unnecessary exposure to risk was caused by serious deficiencies in preparation for the police operation. Peter Farhay is acting as a representative of the police, shares no criminal liability, and doesn't have to appear in court. Anthony's family are understandably sceptical of how these proceedings could bring them justice.
They've charged Sir Peter Farhay because he's the sole entity of the corporation, which means he doesn't face any responsibility. So, like I say, if he gets found guilty, he don't even get a blemish on his record.
As long as the case against Sir Peter Farhay is in court, the family's civil cases have to be put on hold.
You've got so many human rights that have been affected just through this one act. The health and safety should be the last thing. But we can't go on with our civil case until the criminal case is over with, because it takes precedent.
We contacted Greater Manchester Police to pose some of the family's questions to them. Unfortunately, they refused to speak to us. We also contacted Anthony's mother. She said she wanted to speak to us but was unable to, due to legal restrictions placed on her, the rest of the family, and the press. Her solicitors told me that specific warnings to the press, under the Contempt of Court Act, limited what we could say at this time. Deputy Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police Ian Hopkins stated that GMP has fully cooperated with the IPCC and deeply regrets the loss that Anthony's family have suffered.